Hello and happy week 12 to all my gambling buddies out there. This is the PHLY Bets week 12 NFL edition presented by our friends over at bet365. Find out why it's never ordinary at bet365. Use promo code, wrong side of the screen, Jamie. Use promo code PHLY365 at sign up and you can get $150 in bonus bets. When you make a $10 deposit, bet $5, boom, they'll hit you with 150 bonus bets. Can be used on futures, props, spreads, and more. So get in there, have some fun. Let's talk about week 12. Try to be informed bettors out there. Take some of Bet365's money and have a good time while doing so. I can't believe it's week 12 of the NFL season already. It is flying by, folks. All right, as always, we're going to kick it off with a couple trends of the league just to know about and stay up to date on. Double-digit favorites are a perfect 5-0 straight up and 5-0 against the spread this season, marking the first time that they have been undefeated since 2004 when teams in that spot were 8-0. And only the second time in the last 40 years. So that's pretty wild. If you see that double-digit spread, don't be scared by it. The trend right now is it's perfect. Teams, this one kind of blew my mind. And it's gone to my point this year that it's not a throwing league, but I think a lot of the good teams are attacking teams on the ground. Teams to throw for 300 or more passing yards this season are just 16, 20, and 2 against the spread, just 44%. Over a full season, if you prorate it, it would be the lowest against the spread mark since 2003 and the third lowest ever of the wild card era. That's pretty crazy. You want a team. Sometimes I like to find a team to either bet for or bet against. The Lions have kind of been a team I'm riding this year in the bet for category. If you're looking for a team to bet against every week, well, the Tennessee Titans, their defense is good, but Will Levis is not. The Titans are 1-9 against the spread this season, the worst record in the NFL. It's the worst mark for any team through 11 weeks since the 2007 Ravens, and just the second 1-9 against the spread start through 11 weeks in 30 years. So put that one in your back pocket and feel confident betting against the Titans right now. We have a special Monday Night Football game this week. It's the Harbaugh brothers facing off against each other. And on Monday Night Football, the Harbaugh brothers are a combined 20-8 straight up and 19-9 against the spread as head coaches. Both are top 10 and against the spread kind of profitability there. And where they've done the most damage is on the road, which is John Harbaugh this week, and the Ravens, where they are 16-5 against the spread on Monday Night Football. So there you have it. There's some trends I thought were pretty interesting. Now let's dive into the games. Let's start it off. The Eagles are Sunday Night Football, so we'll wait on them. This game, be forewarned, there's a lot of bad football games this weekend. Week 11, 12, 13 is kind of when teams are cooked, when the tank goes on for other teams. So there's just some bad games out there this weekend. I'll be honest with you. The Dallas Cowboys, speaking of which, are playing a good Washington Commanders team in FedEx Field. The Washington Commanders are currently 10.5-point favorites, minus 600 on the money line. Woo. And the over-under on this one is 45. A couple points in here. The Cowboys have lost 5 consecutive straight up and against the spread. That hasn't happened in Dallas since 2010, and they lost 6 straight and against the spread back in 1988-89 when they lost 7. So they're dealing with some own personal history here. In the last 20 years, Dallas is 17-21 against Washington against the spread. Dak is 10-3 against the spread. All other quarterbacks are 7-18. And now this is a new chapter for the Commanders with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Since the beginning of the 2019 season, they've played each other 10 times, with 9 of those 10 meetings having a margin of 10 points or more, and 8 of those 10 going by 15 points or more. The last 5 meetings between these two teams have been decided by 28, 35, 20, 15, and 42. A lot of those were at the hands of the Cowboys. But that being said, this rivalry is not prone to a blowout. Last week, Cooper Rush, he's not good. He had 55 pass attempts, and the Cowboys scored 10 points. That's the first time that's happened in over 2.5 years. And if you're looking for a Mike McCarthy upset special, well, think again. He's 2-18 straight up as a dog of 7 or more points and 0-12 straight up above a full touchdown. That being said, we're laying the points. We told you about the double-digit favorites in the NFL. I think the Commanders are going to take them to 6-0 on the year. Give me the Washington Commanders minus the 10.5. Next up, this could be a trap special. We got the Detroit Lions minus 7.5 heading to Indianapolis. If you want to lay the Lions money line, you got to lay minus 380. Again, for the novice gamblers, that means you have to risk $380 to simply win 100. That's a spicy meatball right there. Over under on this game comes in at 50. Lions, we've told you, since 2021, they're covering 72% of their games. They're a team I've been riding. That being said, it's kind of a sticky spot this weekend. I don't know why. The Colts always seem to perform well at home. Let's get into some of the nuts and bolts here. The Lions were the first double-digit favorite since 2012 off of a win of 45-plus points. The Colts, we talked about them being good home dogs. Well, how good? 13-2 against the spread as home dogs of 6+ points or more over the last 30 years. That is substantial. The Colts have played 19 one-score games under head coach Shane Steichen, who we know here in Philadelphia very well, and they're 11-8 straight up, but a staggering 14-5 against the spread. So they play close games, cover a lot of spreads there under Steichen. The most profitable quarterbacks against the spread this year, Jared Goff, number 1, who is 8-2 against the spread. Number 2 on that list is Justin Herbert, who is 7-2-1. Shockingly, number 3 on that list, Anthony Richardson, is 6-1 against the spread this year. Something to keep in mind. In November or later since 2003, there have been 40 games where a team is averaging over 33 points a game with a 90+% win percentage. Those teams are just 12, 25-3 against the spread in their next game, including 4, 16-1 against the spread when they're coming off a double-digit win. I'm taking the Lions, but I'm telling you right now, I'm holding my nose and putting this one in. It does feel to me like the Colts could definitely cover the spread in this game. I'd be shocked if the Colts straight up won. That plus 300 is a number there. If you believe, that's a nice little number, the plus 300. And if you like running backs, I think Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions have a bevy of running backs, but I like their overs in this game. I think this is going to be a ground and pound kind of Lucas Oil Stadium classic there with two good running backs going at each other. All right, next up, the Kansas City Chiefs are at the Carolina Panthers. Again, another double-digit spread. We'll see if the Chiefs and Commanders can keep that rolling. The Chiefs are minus 11. Got to lay minus 650 on the money line. Over-under on this one is 43. Patrick Mahomes, he's 0-3-1 against the spread with the previous biggest spreads of his career. Minus 14.5 at Houston, they won by 6. Minus 14 at Oakland, they won by 7. Minus 11.5 at Denver, they won by 4. And minus 10 at New England, they won by 10. So they pushed there. So he does not cover huge dramatic spreads very well. Bryce Young, he's made 21 starts in his career. He is just 7-13-1 against the spread. And the Chiefs have come off of a loss by more than one score 4 times under Patrick Mahomes. Their defense has stepped it up, allowing just 17-13, 17-14 coming off the quote-unquote big loss. That being said, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes today. Carolina's just bad, and I know he's not good against these big spreads. I just don't think the Panthers can score enough. I think if the Chiefs can get, above 25 and get in that 30-point range, I think they'll be pretty comfortable covering this one. All right, next up, the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. I saw our friends at CHGO are doing the Ditka Con in the parking lot before the game. Bears fans are dead inside, but they're good fans, and they're going to be out there supporting their squad. This was -3.5 this morning. It dropped to -3 for the Vikings. Over under on this one is a short number at 39. The Vikings on the money line -180. If you want to take, I don't go above -200 personally. So -180 would be in play for me a little bit if you want to take the points out of it. But the Vikings have won and covered 4 straight games in Chicago since the start of the 2020 season. The Bears are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 versus division opponents. Weird. The Bears, well, they're playing that vaulted Minnesota defense. We've talked about Brian Flores a lot this year, and he's the boogeyman. When Caleb Williams has faced a defense with a sack percentage of 2% or higher, the opponent's percentage of plays that end as a sack while on defense, he is 1-6 straight up, scoring less than 20 points in 6 of those 7 games. The Vikings, yeah, they blitz. They blitz a lot. So Caleb Williams is normally under duress. I would expect even more so today. The Vikings defense is a beast under Brian Flores. They're first in EPA per play, first in success rate, and 4th in EPA per drop back, and 1st in EPA per rush. This defense is no joke. Matt Eberflus is all but a dead man walking in Chicago. He has faced 16 teams in his career with the Bears with an above 500 winning percentage, and the Bears are 2-14 in those situations. The Bears are dead. I think some guys in that locker room have quit personally. DJ Moore and Caleb Williams don't seem to be jiving. Bears will probably keep it close. They're not a roll over and die team, but I do think the defense of the Vikings is just going to be way too much for Caleb Williams to handle. So give me the Vikings -3. You might even consider buying that one down to -2.5 to keep the field goal win alive there. I always love the hook on the football number. All right, next up, the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. The Pats are +7.5 on the road in Miami. Over under on this one is 46.5. And if you want to bet the Dolphins money line, you got to lay -380. Seems like a popular number today, -380. The Dolphins have dominated this head-to-head series recently. Miami has covered the spread in 8 games versus the Pats dating back to 2020. Even when Tom Brady was clicking for the Patriots, the Dolphins always played the Pats tough. I used to bet the Dolphins a lot versus Tom Brady and the Pats, and I feel like they would just hang. It's weird like that in the NFL. Some teams just have another team's number to a degree. Since 2021, the Patriots are 9-29 straight up as a dog. Oof. The 3rd least profitable team in the NFL, ahead of just the Bears and the Falcons. Drake May is 2-4 straight up as a dog in his career so far. This year, the Dolphins usually have a home field advantage with that visitor sideline getting all the sun. They're just 1-4 against the spread this year. The Dolphins haven't finished a season below 500 at home against the spread since 2015. Overall, in Tua's pro career, he has closed as a favorite 6 or more points 15 times. Miami is 14-1 straight up in those spots and 11-4 against the spread in those games. I feel like I'm taking a lot of favorites this weekend, which I always hate. That being said, give me the Dolphins -7.5. This would just be a tiny play for me. I don't really like them that much here, but the Patriots are really bad. So sometimes it's just fun to bet against bad teams and hope it's on your side. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are heading to the New York Giants to take on Tommy Cutlets and Tommy DeVito quarterbacking the Giants as Daniel Jones was released today. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I hope the Cowboys get him and start him against the Giants on Thanksgiving Day. That would just be hilarious theater. The Buccaneers are a 6-point road favorite. Over under on this one is 40.5. If you wanted to bet the Bucs money line, you got to lay -275. All right, some facts on this game. Both teams are coming off of the bye last week. And when that happens over the past decade, the under is 21-11 against the spread, hitting at a 66% clip there in this situation. And Baker Mayfield, he started his career with Cleveland. He was 24-32-1 against the spread, the 5th worst mark amongst all quarterbacks in the NFL. With the Bucs, though, He's 15-9 against the spread, the third best mark in the NFL. So pretty impressive there, the turnaround for Baker Mayfield. Tommy Cutlets, I know you're thinking about him. I'm thinking about cutlets for lunch every time I talk about him. Tommy DeVito has started 6 career games for the Giants now. He's 3-3 straight up, 4-2 against the spread, including 2-0 straight up and against the spread at home. The good thing for DeVito, the Bucs defense is allowing nearly 27 points per game, and they're allowing 23 points or more in 6 straight games. In DeVito's 6 starts, the 4 opponents with the worst point per game defense he faced, he's 4-0 against the spread. The 2 best defenses, he's 0-2 against the spread. We've talked about before the kind of momentum push a team gets when the backup comes in for the first game. Usually there's a come back to earth moment in game 2, but in game 1, there's oftentimes the backup bump there. I don't think I'm going to let Tommy Cutlets scare me too much, but that is something to take into account here. Since the start of the 2023 season, 64 quarterbacks have had at least 100 plays. Tommy DeVito, kind of middle of the pack, actually. Expected worse. He's 56th in EPA per play, stuck between Zach Wilson and Bryce Young. He's 63rd in success rate between Bailey Zapp and Drew Lock, and he's 59th in ADOT. So not good, but I expected him to be like 92nd through 100th in those categories. Again, don't love this one. Probably would only play it in a parlay, but I would take the Bucs minus the 6. Another kind of hold your nose. A lot of bad football teams, like the Patriots suck, the Giants suck, the Bears suck, the Panthers suck, the Cowboys suck. There's only been one game so far where there's not at least one bad football team involved. All right, last game of the 1 o'clock slate. The Tennessee Titans are at the Houston Texans. The Texans are a 7.5-point home favorite. Over under on this one is 40.5. Got to lay minus 380 once again to get the Texans on the money line. All right, some of the nitty gritty on this one. The Tennessee Titans are this year just historically a different team in the first half and the second half. First half they compete. Second half, Will Levis usually just says, "Take this game, please. I don't want it anymore." So the Titans are 10-1 against the first half spread. 10-1. That's the best start for any team in first half spreads in the last 20 years. The closest were actually the Eagles in 2017 when they were steamrolling people. They were 9-1-1 against the spread in the first half. And the 2016 Chargers were 8-1-2. Houston is also just 2-9 against the second half spread, the worst mark of any team in the NFL. The Detroit Lions can tell you all about that one. Tennessee Titans also bad in the second half. So somebody's going to have to take this one. But if you wanted to take the Titans in the first half here, there's a lot of data that says that would be a smart bet. Over the last 2 full calendar years, November 24th, 2022 to current day, November 24th, 2024, the Titans are just 9-23-2 against the spread. 28%, the worst mark of any team in the NFL, and the only team with fewer than 10 covers. When they face a division opponent in that span, they're just 2-8 against the spread. Not good. CJ Stroud has made 28 career starts in the NFL, and he's only closed as a 7-point or higher spread once last week to the Cowboys. He's 8-4 against the spread as an underdog and just 6-10 as a favorite in his career. 2 of Will Levis's 4 career wins have come in night games. Outside of that window, Will Levis is 2-11 against the spread as a starter. Again, another pick where I'm just like, it's too high a number, but I can't bet the Titans. I would take the Texans, but I hate how many decent to good teams are playing bad teams with. It's a tough board this weekend, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Give me the Texans in that one. But again, not fully confident. That would be way down on my confidence meter. All right, let's get to the 4 o'clock slate of games. The Denver Broncos, again, versus another bad team in the Las Vegas Raiders. The Denver Broncos are minus 5.5 in Las Vegas. Over under on this one is 41.5. Broncos minus 260 on the money line there. All right. The Denver Broncos are 2-12 against the spread versus the Raiders since the middle of the 2017 season. The Raiders suck, but they usually show up against division play really well. They play the Chiefs really hard every time, and they play the Broncos very well against the spread too. The Broncos haven't beaten the Raiders in Oakland or Las Vegas since 2015. When who was quarterbacking the team, you might ask? Oh, yeah, that was Peyton Manning without a neck. He was quarterbacking the Broncos the last time the Broncos won on the road versus the Raiders. They haven't been swept in a season series by Denver dating back to 2014. Bo Nix, he's found the magic. He's 5-1 against the spread on the road this season, tied with Joe Burrow for the best road against the spread mark in the league. Whew. 4 home divisional underdogs this weekend on the slate. Those teams are just 26, 36, and 2 against the spread over the last 2 seasons. Gardner Minshew has faced a Sean Payton coach team twice in his career, once with the Raiders, once with the Jaguars. He's 0-2 against the spread and straight up in those games, losing by a combined 11.5 points on the money line and scoring just 24 total points in those 2 games. Again, I feel like I'm a broken record. I'm taking the Broncos. It's a lower number than a lot of those 7.5 numbers, but the Raiders play the Broncos well. Does Bo Nix come back to earth? Does Max Crosby just dominate a game? Like, I could very easily see the Raiders covering this one. And if you're just watching the show for the first time, I am not usually this much of a coward. It's just a weird slate with some tough matchups this weekend. So give me the Broncos again, but I feel like I'm so favorite heavy that this is just going to blow up in my face. All right, 425. The Cardinals are -1 at the Seattle Seahawks. Over-under on this one is 47.5. Both teams are -110 on the money line. So if you want to just take a team to win, this is the perfect situation to do so. It's basically saying this is a coin flip game all around. The Cardinals have covered the spread in 3 straight games versus the NFC West. Prior to the streak at the end of last season, they were 1-13 against the spread in their 14 previous divisional games. So maybe they've turned a corner. Kyler Murray is 5-12 against the spread versus the Seahawks and the Rams in his career. 2 teams that have had his number. Kyler Murray also bad off the bye in his career. He started 5 career games on a full bye during the season. His teams are 1-4 straight up and against the spread in those games, failing to cover by 9 points per game on average. The Seahawks, typically, Seattle is a tough place to play with the 12th man and all that. Not as of late. The Seahawks are just 1-5 against the spread at home this season, failing to cover on average by 5 points per game. Seattle is now just 8-15 against the spread at home since 2022, the second worst mark in the NFL, ahead of just the Patriots. And since the beginning of last season, quarterback Geno Smith is 3-10 against the spread at home, the worst mark of any quarterback in the NFL. That being said, this is the dog I'm picking. I just feel like these are going to be famous last words. Don't cold takes expose me. But I feel like this is a game where the Arizona Cardinals, for no other reason other than just the ebb and flow aspect of it, come back to reality a little bit. So give me the Seahawks there. All right, the 49ers and the Packers. Big injury news this morning as the 49ers, Brock Purdy is not going to play, and Brandon Allen will be getting the start in Lambeau Field today. What was the game of the week definitely took a hit in the marketability there, but this is a good matchup. 2 teams that kind of need to get it going here as it's turning cold up in Lambeau. Brock Purdy has made 37 career starts entering the week. He's only been listed as an underdog once, and that was to your Philadelphia Eagles, and he lost that one 31-7. Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur, same coaching tree. I'm sure you've heard all about it. Kyle Shanahan has faced the Packers 7 times in his career. He's 3-0 straight up in the playoffs, but just 1-3 straight up in the regular season. 49ers, another team with second half issues. They were 2-8 against the spread this year, losing 8 of their last 9 second half against the spreads. And after he lost a game by 4+ points, he's 10-1 straight up in his last 11 games in that spot. Kyle Shanahan is dating back to the middle of the 2021 season, 9-2 against the spread. The role of favorite has not been a good one for Jordan Love thus far in his career. He's 4-7 against the spread as a favorite and 10-7 against the spread as an underdog. When trailing or leading the game, Jordan Love is a totally different player. So for his sake, you almost, I don't know. When leading the game, Jordan Love's quarterback rating is 78.4. When trailing in the game, his quarterback rating is 104.6. I originally, when Brock Purdy was supposed to play, had the 49ers here. Again, I'm probably going to shift to the Packers a little bit. Again, not a strong feeling on this one, but give me the Packers. This is a tough weekend, folks. All right, let's get to the Sunday night football matchup. Your Birds, the Philadelphia Eagles, are 3-point favorites at the Los Angeles Rams. Over-under on this one is 49. If you want the Eagles on the money line, you can get them minus 155. Sunday night football unders, excuse me. We've been telling you about the Sunday night football unders rule. Well, it still applies even when your Eagles are playing. Since 2022, the unders on Sunday night football are 37-18, 67%, including 34-13 during the regular season. That 65% mark since 2019. This season, they are 8-3 to the under on Sunday night football. Road unders with Jalen Hurts to compound that issue have been the bet. Hurts is 21-12 to the under on the road in his career, including 11-4 since the start of last season. That's the second best mark to the under of any quarterback in the NFL. Lately, we've seen a really good Jalen Hurts. In the last 6 games, the Eagles are 6-0 straight up. And since week 6, he's 4th in EPA per play, 5th in success rate, and he's 2nd in completion percentage over expectation with 17 total touchdowns and just 1 interception. Saquon Barkley, if you're looking for some player props, can't go wrong with this man. He has been tough to deal with all season long. He is tied for 2nd in carries with 103. He has 738 rushing yards, which is first, and 7.2 yards per carry, which is first in the second half. So he is, those numbers were second half numbers. He is just gashing teams in the second half and closing out games for the Eagles. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford very much have played their role with as a duo with the Rams. They are 27-9 straight up when listed as favorites and just 6-14 when listed as underdogs. Stafford needs to get back to where he was on the Super Bowl run. They were 3-0 as dogs that year. Since then, he's just 3-14 straight up as a dog. In his career, he's 31-79 straight up as an underdog. Not good, just 28%. Since 2022, Stafford is the 3rd worst quarterback in moneyline profit, ahead of only Bryce Young and Mac Jones. Those are not quarterbacks you want to be named next to. And this is a odd one. The Lamar Jackson look-ahead factor. We told you about this a couple weeks back, but the Eagles have the Ravens next week on the deck. With teams facing Baltimore the next week, the teams are 71-39. 65% of the time they're winning since Lamar Jackson has become a starter. It's almost like teams know, oh, man, we got a battle next week. We really got to step up this week and get the W. That being said, give me the Eagles. Give me a Saquon Barkley over rushing yards. No Devontae Smith in this game, obviously. So if you want to look at Jalen Hurts, I like him as an anytime touchdown. I put together a little same-game parlay we'll talk about in a second. But if you want to look at A.J. Brown's over, all probably good bets. But we're going with the Eagles and the under in this one. And then Monday Night Football, the Harbaugh Bowl. Jim and John coaching against each other. Pretty cool. Monday Night Footballs, the opposite of Sunday Night Football unders. Well, the overs on Monday Night Football have been the trend so far this year. They're 10-4 to the over because, remember, there's doubleheader games. You might be going, wait, that's 14 games, Jamie. It's only week 12. Yeah, well, there was 2 doubleheaders. And they've been going over on average by almost 6 points per game. It would be, with an over this week, it would be the second best year in the last 20 years for overs on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football totals of 49 or higher are just 24-35 since 2010. As either a favorite of 3 points or less or an underdog, Lamar Jackson is a staggering 25-6 against the spread in his career in the regular season. And he's also the king of night games during the regular season. He is 19-5 straight up at night, the best win percentage of any quarterback with a minimum of 15 starts since the merger. The Chargers, they're the 9th team in the Super Bowl era to allow 20 points or fewer in each of their first 9 games of a season. Last week, they allowed the Bengals to get to 27 when they had the second half surge there. So an unbelievable job by this Chargers defense this year. And Justin Herbert has struggled with the second half spread throughout his career. He's covering just 32% of second half spreads, and even more so at night, where he is just 4-14-1 against the second half spreads, including 2-11-1 when the Chargers have a lead entering the half. That being said, I'm going with Lamar Jackson. It feels like they're on a little bit of a skid here, and I trust him to right the ship. So give me the Ravens on that one. All right, that's a recap of all the action this weekend. Hopefully you found some of this information helpful. I'll share with you a graphic here with a little same-game parlay I cooked up, including the Eagles -3. We're riding that under trend on Sunday Night Football, and a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I mean, that's like as good as gold. That pays you a little 6-1 action there. So if you think the Eagles are going to win and you like the under, you might as well take that one, because Jalen Hurts, I feel like, is like a 50-50 coin flip that he scores a touchdown. I like the Ravens on Monday Night Football -2.5. And then finally, give me the Vikings and Brian Flores' vaunted defense versus the Chicago Bears. So those are my picks. I hope you're using bet365. I hope you're using that code PHLY365 at sign up. There's over 90 million worldwide users. That many people simply cannot be wrong. And bet365 pioneered live in-game betting. So if you're smart, you might wait till the game starts until you get a flow for it, and then you can hop in, bet some live stuff. They pioneered live in-game betting, so there's such a wide slate of things to bet on. It's great. And of course, remember, as always, sports gambling is supposed to be fun. If you or someone you know has a problem and wants help, you can call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Don't bet above your means. This is supposed to be fun and entertainment. You and the boys getting together, everybody throwing in a bet or some parlays. So let's try to have a good time with it. And if you know somebody that needs help, please recommend 1-800-GAMBLER to them. That's it for us here on PHLY Bets. We'll be back Thursday next week. A lot of favorites on the board today. I hate it. But that being said, can't change what the heart wants. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.